Hello, 7th grade. Today we are talking about solving two-step inequalities. You need to make sure that you have this notes page out in front of you. Go ahead and put your name on it so that you're ready to go. The process of solving two-step inequalities is just like the one step, very similar to if we were dealing with an equal sign instead of an inequality. The process is very similar. Got to get the variable by itself, and then we just need to remember. So first, to solve two-step inequalities, you follow the same steps as solving a two-step equation. Don't forget, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, go ahead and underline that. You must flip the inequality symbol. Okay, so that rule is the same. If you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you have to flip your inequality sign. Okay, so if we look at number 1, we are following the same process we would as if it were an equation instead of an inequality. Okay, so we need to first draw that line down the middle of your inequality symbol. Okay, and then we need to first thing we're going to get rid of is this plus 3. Okay, so I need to get this plus 3 to be 0. Well, the inverse of the positive of the plus would be to subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, if we're adding and subtracting, there's nothing special that we have to do. On that side, that would be gone. 30 minus 3 would be 27. You're going to bring your inequality. Nothing changes about it because you're not multiplying or dividing a negative number. Bring down what is left on the left side, which is 3n. Now we have to separate our variable from that term. They're tied by multiplication. The opposite of that is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. On the left side, you would just be left with n. You divided by a positive number, so your sign stays the same. And then 27 divided by 3 would leave you with 9. That is your inequality. If you wanted to check your work, you would need to come up with a possible solution that would keep this statement true. So a possible solution, I would need to come up with a number that is greater than or equal to 9. So let's say we plugged in, let's say we just did 10, okay? If I'm saying that 10 is a possible solution for n, then whenever I plug it up here, it would also be true. So what that's going to look like if you wanted to test it, I would go 3, I would plug in my 10 that I'm testing, and then we would solve. So 3 times 10 is 30. Bring down the rest the same. 30 plus 3 is 33. Bring down the rest the same. And then we check, is this true? Is 33 greater than or equal to 30? Yes. So we know that this is true. If you were to get something here that is not true, then that means something here went wrong. That's how you would check your answer. Okay? Now this is what we're graphing because this is what we were solving. And we would put on our graph, we need the number 9 to put our point. And because our inequality is or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. All right. Now, we need to figure out which direction we're going. It says n is greater than or equal to 9, which means n will be greater than 9. So I need to go where my numbers get bigger because n is going to be anything that is greater. So this is telling me that n can be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, so on and so forth, to infinity. Okay? N is greater and bigger than 9. All right? Now if we were to look at the next one, and then I'm going to have you try some on your own. Process exactly the same. Go ahead and draw your line down that inequality. First thing I'm going to get rid of, well, this variable term I'm going to try and keep together until the end. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this minus 3. Well, if I want this to be 0, think of this as negative 3. Well, the inverse of that negative would be a positive 3. And I'm going to put that on both sides. Negative 3 plus 3 would cancel out. 17 plus 3 would be 20. I have not done any multiplication or division, so I don't need to do anything with my inequality. Bring down everything else the same. All right, now I need to separate my variable from my term. So right now they're connected by multiplication. The inverse of that would be division. So we are dividing both sides by negative 2. Don't forget that sign. We're dividing by negative 2 on both sides. 20 divided by negative 2 would be negative 10. Before I write this inequality, I need to ask myself, did I just multiply or divide by a negative number? Yes, I just divided by negative 2, which means I need to flip my inequality. That caret, that sideways caret or that arrow, whatever shape you want to think of it, we now need to make open the other direction, keep the line the same. This would cancel out. I would be left with just m. You can check your answer the same way that we did on number 1. And then we would go ahead and plot it on that number line. So I need to make a point at negative 10. Check your inequality to figure out your point. It is greater than, negative 10 is greater than or equal to, that or equal to tells me that I need to fill in my circle. That m can actually equal 10. Okay. Now, if we look here, this is telling us, if I start on the side, if I read from the side that my variable is, it is telling us that m is less than or equal to negative 10. So m is going to be smaller than negative 10. If the open part we're facing towards the m, then we're greater, we're going this way. But because the closed part is, we're saying m is smaller, so I'm going to go in the direction that my numbers will be smaller, which is to the left. Okay? I want you to pause this video. I want you to try numbers 3 and 4 completely on your own. Once you have finished it, or if you are getting stuck, go ahead and play this video to check your work. I am prefacing this, because I didn't say this at the start and I meant to. I will be checking these notes whenever I come back on Monday. If you are not doing these notes, I'm going to grade these notes. So if you are not doing them, that will reflect on your grade. This is not a choice. This is not an option. Okay, if you don't do these notes, then you are going to be behind whenever I come back, and it's going to make catching up a little bit harder. Okay, so make sure you are doing it. I want you to try and do numbers 3 and 4 on your own. If you get stuck or once you finish, go ahead and hit play to check your work. Okay, great. Starting with number 3. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line down the middle of that inequality, just like if it were an equals sign. I'm first going to get rid of this negative 5 because it's not my variable term. I remember that's my Rose and Jack. I'm keeping it till the end. First going to get rid of my negative 5. Well, the opposite of a negative 5 would be a positive 5. I'm going to do that to both sides. Cancels out there. Negative 19 plus 5 would leave you with negative 14. Think about your variable. Did I multiply or divide? No, so I don't have to do anything to it. It stays the same. Bring down your negative 2y. Now I need to get my negative 2 away from my y. The opposite of multiplication is division. Divide both sides by negative 2. Over here, negative 14 divided by negative 2, I am left with 7. Before I write my inequality, ask yourself, did I multiply or divide? Yes, I divided. Is it positive or negative? I divided by a negative number, which means I need to flip my inequality. The open part is going to face the opposite direction. On the other side, I'm left with y. This is what I'm going to graph. Easy part first, put 7. Now I get to make my point. Is it going to be open or closed? I'm going to leave it open because it is not going to be equal to 7. There is not that line there. It cannot be equal to 7, so I leave it open. Okay? Now to help you figure out what direction you need to go, I like to start by reading my inequality from the variable. So if I start at my variable, even though it's back here, we can do that. This is telling us that y is less than 7. So y is going to be smaller than 7. So I need to go in the direction of the smaller numbers. Just like that. If your line is a little bit over the number line, that's fine because it makes it a little bit easier to see. You can also kind of shade it in a little bit so that you can see it that way too. Whatever works for you. All right, let's look at the next one. Draw your line. First thing I'm going to do, get rid of this positive 7. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Takes it away from there. I am left with 8 on the right side. Ask yourself, did you multiply or divide? No, so nothing changes there. And then I'm left with negative 8x. Now I have to separate this negative 8 from this x. Well, it's currently being multiplied. The inverse would be division. Divide both sides by negative 8. This side you're left with x. Before you write this inequality, did I multiply or divide? Yes, I divided by a negative. So I need to flip my inequality. 8 divided by negative 8 leaves you with negative 1. This is what we're graphing. Put your point. Think about, is it or equal to? No. So I'm going to have an open circle because my x cannot be equal to negative 1. So I'm not going to fill in that circle. Reading this, starting with my variable, x is greater than negative 1. So x is going to be bigger, go in the bigger direction than negative 1. So we're going towards our bigger numbers to the right. Okay? Try these next two again by yourself. Pause this video, try them, and then come back to check your work. I'm going to walk you through the first one. Second one, I'm just going to throw the work up there for you to see. But if we look at this first one, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this plus 6. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, 2 minus 6 leaves me with negative 4. As I'm writing this inequality, I'm thinking, did I multiply or divide? No, so nothing changes. Copy down your c over negative 5. This is a fraction. A fraction is just a fancy division problem. The opposite of division is multiplication. So we're multiplying both sides by negative 5. Okay, I like to write the multiplication sign because I feel like it's a little easier to see than a dot. If you would prefer to write that, I'm fine with that too. But you need to have something showing that it is multiplication and not, that way it doesn't just look like a subtraction problem. Okay, so then if we were to solve here, cancels that there, I'm left with c. I'm writing my inequality, thinking, did I multiply or divide? Yes. Was it by a negative? Yes. I'm flipping it. Okay, negative 4 times negative 5 is 20. This is what you're graphing. Throw your point down at 20. Is it or equal to? No, so it's going to stay open. Think about if there's more writing there, then you need to put more writing there. Okay, that was always my trick in 7th grade. If you see more pencil on the paper there needs to be more pencil on the paper there. If there's an or equal to, I need to put more work in there, okay? Then if I'm reading for my variable first, c is greater than 20. So c is going to be bigger numbers, so we're going to the right. Okay, working through this one quickly, the first thing I need to release is going to be this over 4. I can't do anything with this a plus 1 until I get rid of this over 4. Okay, so what's happening between here is division because it's a fraction. Okay, so we need to multiply by 4 to get rid of the 4 and free up that a plus 1. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. That gets rid of it there, and I'm left with a plus 1. I did multiply, but it was by a positive, so I'm good to write it the same. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, now we just subtract by 1 on both sides. You're left with A. I did not multiply or divide, so I don't need to do anything. With my inequality, 16 minus 1 is 15. This is what we're graphing. Throw your point up at 15. I will need to fill it in. There's more writing here, so there needs to be more writing there. It's or equal to, so I fill it in. A is less than or equal to 15. Okay, so I need to go where my numbers get smaller because it's going to be less than. So we're going that way. All right. Go ahead and flip. We'll be checking your notes and taking them for a grade on whether or not you did them whenever I get back on Monday. Okay, so make sure you did the notes. Next page. Remember, in a situation like number 7, you're going to first add 2. And you have negative 11. Keep your sign the same. Negative y. Okay? If you need to separate a negative from a variable, well, there's an imaginary 1 right there. So you're going to divide by negative 1. I have y. I'm writing my inequality. I'm asking myself, did I multiply or divide? Yes. Was it a negative? Yes. Flip it. Negative 11 divided by negative 1 would leave me with positive 11. Throw it on the graph at 11. It's or equal to, so I fill it in. And then y is less than, smaller than, or equal to 11, so we're going to the left. Okay. We're not going to do the next ones. They're all concepts that we've done before. Let's look down here at this bottom chunk. Okay. First step is going to just be solving. Just like we did up here. We're just not having a graph. That will be a little bit different. So let's look at number 11 and solve it. You need to get m by itself. Draw your line. First thing you're going to do is add 2 to both sides. I have 32. As I'm writing my variable, I'm asking, did I multiply or divide? No, don't flip it. Bring down your 4m just the same. Now I'm going to divide, do the opposite of that multiplication to get m by itself. And we have m. I multiply or divided by a positive, so I don't have to flip it. And then 32 divided by 4 is 8. Now, over here, we are checking possible solutions. So what this means is if I can take this number, plug it in right here, and it be true, I'm filling it in. If you can't, you don't fill in that box. So I need to ask myself, if I plug in 6 for m, 6 is less than or equal to 8. Is that a true statement? Yes, so I can fill in that box, or you can check it, whatever works for you. Next one, 7 is less than or equal to 8. Is that true? Yes, so I'm going to fill it in. Next one, 8 is less than or equal to 8. It's not less than, but it is equal to. So because it has that line, that or equal to line, this does work, and I'm going to fill it in. Okay, last 2, 9 is less than or equal to 8. That is not true. 10 is less than or equal to 8. That is also not true. So the only boxes I'm going to fill in are 6, 7, and 8. You do not have to do this part of actually writing it out. You do have to fill in the boxes. But if this helps you, do it. This is not a step that I have to see, but if it helps you to be able to fill in the boxes, then you can do it. Okay? I want you to try and do 12 and 13 on your own with the video paused. And then once you are finished with 12 and 13, you may hit play to continue it. All right, let's talk about it. First thing I'm going to do here after I draw my line is I'm going to get rid of this positive 4. The opposite of a positive 4 would be a negative 4. That would be gone there. I'd be left with the negative 4n. Writing my inequality. Did I multiply or divide? No, so I don't need to change anything with my inequality. 16 divided by negative 4 is 12. Now I need to release my term for my variable. They're connected by multiplication in this case. The opposite would be division. Divide both sides by -4. That cancels out. You're left with n. I'm writing my inequality. Did I multiply and divide? Yes. Was it by a negative? Yes. Do I need to flip it? Yes. Go ahead and flip that inequality. 12 divided by -4 is -3. Now I get to check. -6 is greater than or equal to -3. Don't let the fact, don't ignore the sign. Okay, -6 is further negative, so it's smaller. Use the number line on at the front of the room if you have to. -6 is smaller than -3, so that one is not true. -5 is also smaller than -3. -4 is also smaller than -3, so none of those work. -3, if we're looking at the inequality greater than or equal to, it is equal to, so that tells me to shade it in. Last but not least, -2 is greater than or equal to -3. That is also true because -2 is more positive than -3. It is closer to the positives. Okay, don't be afraid to use that number line if you need to. Last one. First thing after you draw your line, I want to get rid of this -2. To do that, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. 8 plus 2 is 10. I did not multiply or divide, so I keep the sign. Bring down my -2a. To release these, I'm going to divide both sides by -2. 10 divided by -2 is -5. Writing my inequality, did I multiply and divide? Yes, I did. Was it by a negative? Yes, it was. Do I need to flip it? Yes, I do. So I'm going to flip that inequality. And then on this side, I'm left with just a. Okay, so now let's fill in our boxes. -5 is greater than -8. That is true. It is more to the right on my number line. -5 is greater than -7. That is also true. -5 is greater than -6. Yes. -5 is greater than -5. This one will not work. I do not have an or equal to sign there. Okay, so I don't care that it's equal. I want it to be bigger, and it's not. Last one, -5 is greater than -4, and that is also not true. Okay. This is going to be the end of our notes. Don't close out. I'm going to explain the next thing that you're going to do. Do not turn these notes in. These need to go in your binder for you to reference if you need to. Now that you've done the notes, there is an assignment, a digital review assignment for you to complete on Canvas. Okay? So how this is going to work is you have to solve the inequalities and find their matches. So if we look at this first one before you open up your assignment, I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, you cannot actually write, if you can figure out a way to write on the Google slide, like electronically, go for it. If you can't, pull out the whiteboard, get a marker and eraser, do it that way. All right, or grab a scratch paper from the back bookshelf, do it that way. I do not care, but if you need to show your work, you need to figure out a way to show your work. Okay, first thing you're going to do with number 1, I need to get rid of that -3, so I'm going to add 3. You're going to have -4 and 2x, divide both sides by 2, and you have x is less than -2. Okay, so then I'm going to go over here and see, okay, which ones fit what I just did. Well, it appears these two are the only two that even have a -2 in it. Now I'm going to see my inequality does not have that line, which means my box or my circle should not be filled in. So this would be my answer. So I'm going to grab this one and drag it over. Okay. You have boxes where you can type in here the equation. So like over here, I need to see your equation. You can copy and paste from here into these boxes. You need to see your equation on the purple ones. The blue ones, I'm okay with not seeing your equation and you just connecting them. Okay? You're going to go through and connect all of these. Once you have, go ahead and turn it in. Once you've completed the notes and the digital review, you may work on any math missing work. If you have finished everything there, then you are on Mathia until the end of class. If you have questions throughout the day, you can email me. Do not expect a response right away. I will respond if and when I can. All right? I look forward to seeing y'all back on Monday.